You don't change people by preaching to them. You change them for maybe an hour, a day, a month, but it never lasts. True changes comes individually. Architecture combined art and mathematics. So I was like, all right, cool, expression, I'm cool with that. And so I did my architecture, the thesis. I went to Tulane University in New Orleans. That's where the New Orleans influence comes in. When I was doing my thesis, I stressed out so hard. I stressed out so hard, I lost all my hair from stress. I did my thesis, passed it. The hair came back. I practiced some more, and it left again, and it started to lose it again. And the second time it stressed me quite a bit, and I was like, all right, fine. All right, fine. So I said to myself, I'm like, if I lose it 3 times, I will go bald and leave architecture. So one day I was working at a new job, working a project that I didn't do so well when I was in school, so it was a sense of redemption. So I was very happy for that. And I went home, had a nice weekend. Monday comes around, I'm getting ready to go to work, and I'm taking a shower, combing my hair, and then I was like, holy shit. I turned around, there was a bald spot, and I was like, I'll be damned. So I thought for about 30 minutes, picked up the phone, I called the office, and I talked to one of the partners, very sweet man. I'm like, Jerry, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not coming in anymore. I don't think he got it, because he's like, well, I'm sorry that it didn't work out for you. I hope you luck with your next job. I'm like, no, Jerry, I'm not quitting your firm. I'm quitting architecture. And so he was like, oh, and as he was dumbfounded, I was actually dumbfounded by the same statement myself. And I'm like, for 9 years I've been doing this, and now what am I gonna do? So I hung up the phone, and I was like, all right, now what? And it came to me that I'm gonna have to find a discipline that satisfies a certain amount of requirements that I need, being mind and body. So maybe architecture, my body didn't like architecture. So I'm like, well, where do I start? I'm like, all right, you start from the fucking beginning. What do you need? And I'm like, physically, let's start with something physical. I'm like, I like working at night. I like working with my hands. I need something that is expressive for myself, expressive, that I'm Vietnamese, that there were many philosophies that I had. And then I kept thinking, and one day, I'll be damned, it's like a movie, a light just goes pling in my head, and I'm like, a restaurant. We could open a restaurant. It became expressive because it expressed who I was through my food, a direct communication. So that was very important to me. And there were other philosophical ideas that culminated into this idea of presenting food as an ambassador of an idea. You can preach about the Vietnamese people, their plight, their history, their conflict, but you'll never get to the person if he doesn't want to hear whatever. But if you place something unassuming as a spring rolls or a bowl of noodles, and I'm like, here you go, don't say a thing, and he eats it. And if he takes it in, and if he likes it on top of that, then there's an intimate barrier that's been broken. And so he's now, okay, wow, that's Vietnamese food? All right, what else you got? And then you start a conversation. I came to a realization once that these lofty ideas about gods, about humanities, about racism, about all of this, doesn't necessarily spawn from thoughts. They might be spawned from physical things, like the apple falls and hit Sir Isaac Newton, and that's where he formulated gravity and the whole nine. So for me, in that instance, food can do the same in terms of a greater thought. It becomes through the body. To manipulate one is to manipulate the other. It's tactile. In that sense, it becomes more intense because it's a revelation physically as well as maybe later metaphysically. But it starts off in a very simple, unassuming way. Boom. I credit a lot of how I see food was how I was trained as an architect. to see art as a discipline. It is, I guess, in one way very instinctual, but very structured with an academic architectural sense of thinking. For instance, I read in one recipe, an old black chef did green tomato marmalade. And then that stayed with me, and then I was like, well, how could I combine that? Yeah, because as a starting point, I found that very fascinating. And then I'm like, all right, I can do it with a fish. It'd be interesting because you have a sweet flavor. And so I'm like, all right, but the fish has got to have a little bit of a punch. So I'm like, all right, the Cajun spices in there. And I'm like, but then you need something to smooth it out, to blend it together, to give it a sense of freshness and aroma, so that it balances out two differing flavor and it gives it a meaning in which to understand. And so I'm like, all right, let's go with, and I've been doing some basil creams at the time. I'm like, all right, let's try a basil cream, but sweet basil cream. And then I did it, and it came out. It was beautiful. One of the ideas that appealed to me quite a bit was the fact that, first of all, the name Mea in Vietnamese means mother, you know this, and in English it's me. So it is my interpretation of my mother's cooking through my experiences and through my travels. We're all me's. Food for me is something that's very basic. It needs to be experienced. It needs to be a part of who you are. For this aspect, I don't keep my secrets. I give all my recipes away, and because in one sense, it enriches all the me's. As a chef, if you want to raise the level of dining, or raise the level of food, the way to do that is to give away your secrets, to make it so that everybody accesses it, everybody understands it. So therefore, you have to be a better chef because they're better clients, they're better food eaters, they know more. And so you're always having to step up.